Starship. Have you guys engaged law enforcement? Local law enforcement? Right, thank you. So CHP, sorry.
So my name is Henry Harrisburg. I am the head of marketing and communications for Starship Technologies. This is this little delivery robot that we see in front of us right now. And I wanted to introduce the company to people that may not know anything about it. I want to say a little bit about what this delivery robot is used for. What's the point of it? Is it actually available right now? And I also want to answer any questions. I really want to answer questions, so please do kind of throw them at me as and when you think of them. So first things first, this is the world's first commercially available delivery robot, and it delivers groceries, parcels, and food. Now, the company was actually founded around about 2.5 to 3 years ago now by two of the Skype co-founders, and I'm sure lots of people have heard of Skype, Arti Heinle and Janus Fries. And these two gentlemen obviously had huge success with Skype, and they wanted to work together again. They were looking for industries that hadn't been disrupted by technology. They came across the last mile industry, and the last mile is a little bit of a business-to-business term, but in reality it means the last couple of miles between a hub or a store to our house, a customer's house. And it's notoriously inefficient. Think about vans stopping and starting 150 times outside of 150 houses. When the majority of people aren't at home, they come back the next day, they may throw parcels over fences, leave them on doors. Think about all of us moving our 2-ton cars to the grocery store a mile down the road. We pick up our 2 bags, we get back in our car, and then go back home. It's so inefficient, it really doesn't make sense. And they wanted to solve all these problems using semi-autonomous delivery robots, and that's exactly what they've done. So these robots travel on sidewalks. They do not go on the roads, they do not go in bike lanes, they travel on sidewalks. They go safe and slow speeds of around about 4 miles an hour. And they have a very sophisticated obstacle detection system. So they obviously don't bump into things, otherwise they wouldn't work very well. Now, the robot can carry around about 20 pounds. If I open up the lid of one, some of you may be able to see inside either now or later on. Lots of people say they look like a cooler on wheels. I think that's a very fair analysis, in honesty. They do look a bit like a cooler on wheels. And these robots, they drive 99% autonomously. Now, this is a really important point. These robots are not 100% autonomous. We only want 99%. We always want this element of human oversight and human control. If a robot was to ever get into trouble, a human can always take control and sort it out. It's one of the main reasons why we don't see self-driving cars commercially available on the roads today. There's a long tail of situations that cars and robots can find themselves getting into, which technology can't sort out yet. It's a really important point why this robot is available now. We're working with partners, which I'll come on to in a minute, doing daily robotic deliveries, and that's because we're only 99% autonomous. Now, the robot has to map an area before it can start driving autonomously. Now, we use very sophisticated proprietary mapping systems. We don't rely on third parties. We have visual localization, which is based on computer vision. The robot's basically building this 3D picture of the world around it using straight lines. So the robot has 9 cameras around the front and back. We have cameras around here and cameras around here. And it's analyzing thousands of straight lines every single second. Now, quite simply, what it does is it compares the straight lines that it saw when it was mapping to the straight lines that it sees at that very second in time, and it can triangulate itself to the nearest inch using those straight lines. That's how the robot drives autonomously. Now, we are actually running real pilots right now. You may see this and think, wow, this is like some sci-fi Star Wars piece of technology here, and we won't see it for 10 years. This is actually operating in 4 or 5 cities right now. We're operating in London, 2 cities in Germany, Switzerland, and most importantly and most excitingly, we are launching here in DC. We are launching with a company called Postmates. They do food delivery. So if any of you use Postmates, you may be actually getting a robot delivery if you live in the DC area very shortly, which is really exciting. But to come on to some of the benefits of why would you use robot delivery over a traditional courier? As I was saying earlier, last mile at the moment is incredibly inefficient and it's very inconvenient for us, the customer. Most of the time we're not at home when we get our parcels, or it's very costly to get on-demand delivery. We're ultimately aiming for $1 on-demand delivery. So in the long run, we want delivery to be almost free, or up to $1. Now, the robot is 24/7 on demand. So you control it from your phone. You would tell the robot when to turn up, and it would turn up within a 5-minute window. It takes 15 to 30 minutes. It operates within a 2-mile radius of a store, and you can track it on your phone, rather like an Uber cab at the moment. Now, when it turns up outside of your door, it would notify you through an SMS saying your robot is outside, and there's a link which unlocks the lid. The lid is, of course, locked during delivery, and I'll come on to theft and vandalism, which some of you may be thinking about right now, so I'll talk about that in a sec. But what we want to do is we want to reduce congestion in city centres. We want to reduce pollution. E-commerce is growing at around about 9 or 10% every single year. That quite simply means more deliveries. We're all ordering more and more things online. That in turn quite simply means more vans and more cars on the roads, congesting our streets and polluting our cities. Now, we want to reduce that. We want to take cars off the road, we want to take vans off the road and use these zero emissions electric devices. Now, in other areas where we're doing deliveries at the moment, we've found that we can assist the elderly and the less able. These people who may be reliant on public transport, they may be reliant on family members to get their groceries, or they may even live in food deserts. Now, these robots can assist these people by offering almost free on-demand delivery to their door. And we've seen huge amounts of success with this in our cities in Europe. Now, we've recently just had some really fantastic news about funding. We just raised $17 million. It was our first funding round last week, so everyone's really excited about that. And a couple of stats about the company. These robots have traveled over 16,000 miles now in 59 cities, 16 countries around the world. So we've done a lot of testing, and testing is really important for safety. We've had 0 accidents. It's so important to us. Safety is our top priority. Now, these robots have met 3.2, give or take, 3.3 million people around the world. And we've obviously seen some really interesting insights about how these robots engage with and interact with people. What do people think when they see a robot traveling down the sidewalk with them? I've got some really interesting news, which some of you may not believe. But we can prove it if we take these robots onto the sidewalk later on, which we may be able to do. We have found that 75% of people, out of that 3 million, so 75% of people actually do not stop and stare. They do not give the robot a second glance. So that's really, really important. This robot, people acknowledge the robot. They may look at it and they think, oh, that's cool. And then they get on with their day. A lot of people are like this, walking down the street, looking at their phones and things like that. People just don't really mind. And it's really, really important to us. Originally, in honesty, I work for the company, so I'm a bit biased. But I was quite offended. I wanted people to be stopping and staring and getting their phone out and taking pictures and asking lots of questions. The reality is that doesn't actually happen. And over time, we realize this is a huge benefit. This is a huge positive. These robots just, they integrate and they just seamlessly occur around us. And I wouldn't say they're invisible, but our ultimate aim is for these robots just to seamlessly deliver around us. And there'll be a common sight on sidewalks in many years into the future. And our ultimate aim is to have thousands of robots doing thousands of deliveries in thousands of cities around the world in the next 5 years. Now, that may prompt one question. Are we going to be seeing thousands of robots on our sidewalks congesting the sidewalks? So yes, we're taking cars off the road, but now we're going to be congesting sidewalks. It's a very fair question. But in reality, it's not going to happen. So we've found that if we were to do millions and millions of deliveries, every single delivery, we've found out that you'd see a robot on a sidewalk around about every 30 seconds. So now if you compare that to every second you see a pedestrian, or how often you see a pedestrian, it's not as much. So you're not going to see sidewalks congested with robots anytime soon. And that's if we do every single delivery. Another question, theft and vandalism. Some people may see these robots and they think, well, they look a bit vulnerable, or people are going to mess with them, or people might steal them. And again, really, really fair question. And it's a good point. People still steal cars. People steal bikes. And people in the long run might steal robots. The reality is, I'd be lying to you if I said it was impossible to prevent. However, we do have many theft prevention measures to try and stop this from happening. And out of those 16,000 miles, we haven't had any thefts yet. So people are a lot more trusting than we all think when we initially see these robots. So the theft prevention measures are incredibly important to us. We have 9 cameras around the front and back. These cameras can be recording if it detects an incident of theft. The robot is of course locked during a delivery and they're unbranded. So firstly, you don't know what's inside. It could be empty, coming back from a delivery. And secondly, it's locked, so you can't get in. You're going to need a big old sledgehammer or something to try and break into it. Thirdly, if you lift it up, there's like a car siren that goes off. It's like an alarm to attract attention. So it's going to be embarrassing if you're trying to lift this thing and run down the street as it's making loads of noise. We have tracking to the nearest inch. So we know exactly where this robot is at all times. That tracking is then backed up by GPS, which is accurate to around about 20 or 30 meters. Now, we also have two-way audio, so we can actually talk to people in the environment around the robot and listen to them. Now, all of those things combined, we've realized greatly assist us in preventing theft. And we hope that will long continue. Now, does anyone have any questions about the robot right now?
How about food centers, or will you simply lease things?
So business model and how this will work in the real world. We want to work with grocery partners, food delivery partners, and the parcel industry, parcel delivery. That pretty much accounts for 95% of things that you can order online. Now, if you were a business using these robots, you could either pay per delivery, and we're aiming for $1 or less. We ultimately want to make delivery free, and that is possible in the long run. Now, the other option, instead of pay per delivery, is a leasing model, and you'd pay monthly. So depending on how many robots you wanted and how many deliveries you wanted to make, you'd pay a monthly fee. And it would be like a service that you just plug into, and it would all be done through a laptop or a phone, and you could just call deliveries to your business, and they would deliver within 15 to 30 minutes. Now, in the long run, what we want to do is we want to offer this delivery service to local businesses in local neighborhoods. It's a really, really important point that local businesses right now do not have the ability to offer local delivery. It's too expensive. The local bakery down the road cannot deliver a donut and a coffee because they'd lose money, lots of money, every single time. But if we can offer Starship delivery for $1 or less, then it opens up a wealth of opportunity to all of these local businesses, as well as all the multinational big companies that are going to be using these robots as well. And that's really, really important to us, putting these small businesses on level footing with the big businesses as well. Any other questions? Great.
Well, the sidewalks can be really bad. How can it come with getting it? And lastly, did you pick the size of the robot specifically for certain sidewalks or bigger? Because one thing you get delivered is giant centralized.
Sure. So the first question was about quality of sidewalks. How agile are these robots? Can they actually operate in lots of environments? Do they need perfect situations to operate, or can they operate everywhere? Really important point. These robots are very, very agile. They're 6-wheel drive. They can completely turn on their axis, and we have operated in some pretty awful conditions. So we have traveled to 59 different cities in 16 countries around the world. And we're not talking about just really lovely areas. So we can operate on very, very rough terrain, really, really rubbish sidewalks. And they can go over tree stumps. They can do curbs up to around about 20 centimeters, give or take. We can't do stairs yet, if that's going to be another question. So we can't do stairs. We can go in elevators, but we do try and stay outdoors. So it's an outside robot for now, however, we can do that in the future. The robots can do curbs. When it comes to stairs, what we do is we've mapped the area, so we know exactly where every single stair set is, and we quite simply avoid them. And it's actually a lot easier than you think. We don't necessarily have to take the quickest route. We as humans, we normally try to walk the quickest way to a place. Robots don't have to do that. As long as they deliver on time, they can go the safest route and the most efficient route, not necessarily the quickest route as the crow flies. The second question was, can they operate in rain and snow and other weather conditions? We've operated in snow, we've operated in torrential rain. We haven't done hurricanes yet, in honesty. I would avoid saying that we can operate in hurricanes right now. I wouldn't want to overpromise there. But we have done at least 2 or 3 inches of snow, and they still operate in snow. Coming back to the 99% autonomous driving, a human can still oversee and take control. So when conditions get tough, conditions get difficult, it just means a slightly higher percentage of human operation and a little less percentage of autonomous operation.
Can you walk around one of them and talk about all the different aspects of it, the lights, the
Sure.
buttons, the plugins, anything, where all the cameras are, anything up close to one?
Yeah, definitely. So let's use this one here. So first things first, you see this flag. Now lots of people think that that's an antenna. Actually, it's purely a safety feature for visibility. If you're sitting in your car, you need to be able to see this robot. So this is a safety feature, and it flashes. This means that the lid is unlocked when it flashes green. Inside, the robot can carry around about 20 pounds or 3 grocery bags. So this isn't going to do your weekly shop anytime soon, but we can have 2 or 3 robots assist you with your weekly shop if need be. Moving around the front, we have cameras around here. We have time of flight cameras, we have infrared, we have ultrasonic sensors here for obstacle detection. We also have cameras here. We have headlights for when it gets dark. Pretty simple stuff. As we move around the side, we have more ultrasonic. It basically creates this bubble of awareness around the robot. So as soon as you get into the bubble of awareness, it will either slow down or stop. So think about this awareness bubble around the robot, and that's like the obstacle detection. As we move around the back, we have more cameras, more ultrasonics. We have a little plaque that says, "I'm a delivery robot." So some people may see this and think, "What's that?" So we need to say that it's a delivery robot. A lot of it is social engagement and awareness. This is why we want to talk to as many people as possible about this delivery robot, so you know what it is when you see it go down the sidewalk.
Does it talk?
It can talk, yes. So we have two-way audio, which means that we can talk to people in the environment around the robot. Yeah.
And somebody has to talk. There has to be an operator somewhere that's talking. It doesn't talk on its own.
Not at the moment.
It's on Alexa. You can't talk to it. Respond.
It's not an Amazon Alexa, no, not yet. But yeah, we can talk. So that opens up a wealth of opportunity as well. So one example I would give is that if you're a retailer, you could actually talk to the customer at their door through the audio to say, did you get the right parcel? Did you get the right package? Did you enjoy your pair of shoes that you ordered? Another opportunity we have, returns. So you could order clothes online, you could order 5 pairs of shoes or something like that. You could try them on at the door, and if you didn't like the color or if one pair didn't fit, you could return them instantly for free in the robot, your sitting robot that's waiting outside. So the question was about branding. We take branding very seriously, and we don't brand the robots. So the only branding we do is actually on the flag. What we don't want is big logos all down the robot, and this comes down to in our designers' founding sort of principles of cleanliness and like beautiful sort of ergonomics and design of the robot. Simplicity is key here, and we don't want big brands down the side of the robot. In the future, who knows? Any other questions at all about the robot?
envision them getting larger? That's one question. And do you ever have any intention of getting into the suburbs?
So, in terms of the size of the robot, the size of the robot has been carefully designed to make sure it takes up about as much room as a pedestrian. So, if you think about a pedestrian walking down the road, a robot takes up around about the same amount of room. One of the reasons why the robot isn't higher is it could be tipped over easier. It's a very stable and sort of secure robot in the design that it is. It carries around about 90% of what we can order online. The other 10% is sofas and furniture and things like that. So it can carry the majority of things that we order online, and that is the reason why it's been designed in that way. What was your second question? Suburbs. It's a really important point, and the best use case scenario of where these robots operate is in the suburbs right now. So the best area of where these robots operate is in residential neighborhoods. That's where delivery is most inefficient at the moment. Think about vans stopping and starting, going 50 foot or 50 meters outside of every single house. It's very, very costly and inefficient. About 40% of the total transportation cost is weighted in those last couple of miles, which means when we all order something from Asia or China, the first 4,900 miles might account for 60%, and then the last 2 miles account for 40%. It makes absolutely no sense. It's incredibly inefficient. So the suburbs and residential areas is exactly where these robots are best suited. When you come into city centres, you obviously have more pedestrian footfall, you have more people on the sidewalks. It slows the robots down a bit. They can still operate there, but the more people on the sidewalk, they're very cautious. They're very safe. They're not going to bump into you. So they're going to take a little bit longer, which is why they're best suited to those suburbs and those residential neighborhoods. Did we have a question over here before?
So is there an operator that kind of tags along and it chimes in when it gets to the destination? You're like, this is the wrong salad I think.
So what we do is the robots drive in the long run 99% autonomously. Now, that doesn't mean that you have a human overseeing the journey every second. What it actually means is a robot just pings up to a human when it needs assistance. So imagine like a call center of humans all waiting for robots to ask for help. So in the long run, we might see one human trying to operate 100 robots. And it quite simply pings up to a human when the robot needs help. When it comes to the delivery, the end delivery, that's when again it can ping up to a human and say, this is the wrong salad, sorry, or I ordered Sprite, not Coke. So yeah, a human can get involved then at the last period as well.